Alright, testing, 1, 2, 3. Alright, hello everybody, what's going on guys? Today what we are going to be doing is, this is my first time trying to stream on two platforms. I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea how to do this in the beginning. Apparently you need to do a lot of behind the background scenes to actually start streaming on both YouTube and Twitch, and technically I have no idea how to do that honestly, but I figured out how to do it. It took me quite a while to understand what I was doing and to get my Vtuber model set up in such a way that I can technically make some movements with my eyes or something like that. So today what we are going to be doing is we are going to make a stream, technically my first official stream on Twitch after so long. So we are going to be going through how to actually start off playing chess. Alright, playing chess I would say is probably one of the most intimidating games you start off as a kid or as a teenager to begin with, or even as an adult, because chess I would say is probably the most complicated games you will ever play your entire life. It can be as difficult as Mastermind or Risk if you play those board games before. Mastermind, Risk, you play Battleship, you play Chinese chess, checkers, backgammon, stuff like that. All those board games involve really I would say a high IQ, but chess is like a whole another level. So today what we are going to be doing is we're going to break down what you should do if you are starting off as a chess player in the beginning. Alright, let's get started, shall we? So if you want to play chess, the first thing you need to do is you're going to need to actually start off with creating an account, right? You have to have an email address and a password, and you're going to log into either chess.com or Lichess, Lichess. Is one of those platforms. Okay. Chess.com, I would say that you need to is more if you want to unlock the paywalls, you have to pay a certain subscription to unlock free access to relevant materials and information and also analysis. For Lichess on the other hand is open source, meaning that it's a free source basically, that meaning that you can get access to it for free without doing too much of stuff, right? You can also analyze past games and also GM level games that Lichess offers, right? So those are the technically two platforms I would recommend. Anything other than that, I would say don't try, because there's no point. So chess.com or Lichess, that's it. Okay, next thing you need to do is, I'm going to start with chess.com first. Lichess is pretty straightforward, you can just start immediately. For chess.com on the other hand, it's a bit more technical when you start off playing with this platform, because the first thing you need to do once you're inside chess.com is you need to go over to settings, click on this, and go down to board and pieces. Really important, okay, to go down to board and pieces. After that, what you need to do, okay, this is totally up to you, depending on your if you're a beginner or you know a bit of chess but not really. I would say that you can toggle show legal moves, because sometimes if you switch this off, and sometimes you do not know what to play, and you can actually get stuck because you'll be thinking, why can't you move this piece? Because you're technically making an illegal move. Okay, so yeah, so I toggle this off because it doesn't really help you that much in the long run. You can do highlight moves. I technically do not want to play this highlight thing here. I'm going to switch this off as well. I play with sound. White is always at the bottom, stuff like that. Move method, this is really important as well. You got to know what is your preference. Either drag or click these things. Totally up to you, but just remember the concept. If you want to move a certain piece, you must think before you move. Really important concept, okay? Think before you move, not move and then think. Really important, okay? So you have piece notations, coordinates, stuff like that. Okay, so you save this, okay? Next thing you need to check is you gotta go to themes and choose a theme that you like. Okay, since I'm starting off as a new account, I'm gonna choose a standard theme. There is also different themes, totally up to you. I would recommend playing the 2D version, not the 3D version. The reason why I don't recommend the 3D version because it is more difficult to see what piece is that because you're looking at it on the top angle. So I recommend like a 2D version. Any color as long as you are able to see that color, right? If you're have some issues seeing certain colors, just be mindful, like there are some pixelated ones. If you cannot see what it is, don't play that theme, honestly. So right, just I'm sticking with the standard one, stuff like that. The next thing you need to check is live chess. Okay, this one is probably the most important thing you need to know. You have to enable pre-moves. Okay, pre-moves means that you know you're going to make the move and he's going to do that certain move. You can technically pre-move. It saves you a lot of time. Okay, really important to enable this thing. Right, the same thing that you need to do is to promote to a queen. All right, this must be switched off. Okay, do not switch this on. You may be thinking in the beginning that if your pawn promotes, you'll want to promote to a queen. That is not always the case. I will say it again, it is not always the case. There are certain cases which is an advanced concept. It's called under promotion. Sometimes you have to under promote to a knight or a bishop to ensure that you do not get stalemated or to get a confirmed checkmate. Really advanced and really rare, but do not switch this on. Okay, no matter what, do not switch this on. All of this stuff is totally up to you. It doesn't really concern me. Low time warning, if you wanted to have it on, it's good for you, but I don't recommend it to be on. Stuff like that. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna save this. Okay, alright, so there are a lot of stuff you can do in chess. There is puzzles. You can learn different things inside of chess.com. But what I want to say is, how do you go about starting chess? You have no idea what to do. The first thing before you even start playing the game is you gotta know the rules. Of course, you can go through the lessons over here. I don't have time for that. I'm just gonna go to ChatGPT. Okay, ChatGPT is really useful. Just type how to play chess. It will give you the whole rules and theory and concepts of like whatever you need to know in the beginning, right? what is chess, how many pieces are there, how many squares are there, you know, how the pieces move, stuff like that, special moves, castling, en passant, promotion, phases of the game, opening, middle game, end game. You have to know at least the concept of chess, basics or so, controlling the center, developing pieces, do not move too many of the same piece in the beginning, and then remember to castle to make your king get to safety. Yep. That's basically all there is. You can just search ChatGPT, you should be fine in the beginning. Now, so as of now, okay, we are going to be starting off a brand new game, and we're going to be starting off at the beginner levels of what's my rating? I have no idea. I think it's like 400 or something. I can't remember. Never mind. Right, I can't remember what elo you start, but we're gonna play a game. Okay, so time controls. Okay, another important thing that you must take note is over here. I recommend playing rapid. Okay, I'm not recommending 30 minutes. It's way too long, honestly. It's either 10 minutes or a 15 minutes with a 10-second time control. Totally up to you. I prefer these two in the beginning. Do not choose 30 minutes. It would take too long. You do not have time for that. Prefer a solid 10 minutes, no increment. Increment meaning that every time you make a move, you are added a few seconds on the clock. Right? So that's that. And we're going to be starting off at, I have no idea what rating am I, but we're going to be starting off with a brand new game, and we're going to see, also going to be teaching you guys important things you must know in chess, and sometimes blunders and mistakes often overlooked by you know, people who just start off playing chess. Right, let's start. Okay, so we're gonna go into a brand new game. Okay, you have these rules here. Okay, no point chatting to other people. You do not have time, honestly, so just play the game. Alright, so we're going to starting off with a brand new game. I'm with the black pieces. In the beginning, you want to control the center. Controlling the center means these two pawns, you can move up or down. I'm going to play pawn to e5, the standard way of developing. Right, so the knight is attacking this pawn. Okay, in the beginning, you know, players will often forgot that this pawn is getting attacked. So I'm going to make a really simple developing move. I'm going to play a pawn to d6, right, defending the pawn. Okay, so as the players are thinking, as the other players thinking, you have to think also about what to play. Okay, so right now he's playing the most so-called the opening that often beginners overlooked. This is really common. This, I would say, this is called the knight and bishop trick. Basically, if you do not defend this properly, you're going to get killed if not careful. Right, you're going to get killed if not careful, because knight g5, he's going to play knight g5. If you do not do anything, bishop comes here, you get checked, or the knight comes here, and you will get forked. The rook and the queen will be gone, and then you're probably screwed, right? So basically, what I'm going to do is play a really simple and very beginner move, is to prevent the knight jump from going here. Okay, alright, so now what we are going to be doing, he's playing this move, which is actually a pretty good move for a beginner. I'm surprised as well. is to play pawn to d4. He's trying to break open the center and trying to prevent me from castling. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing is, let's see what we can do here. Okay, takes. Okay, right. So in any case, I'm just gonna play a really simple move, and to show you guys in the beginning, it's okay to lose. You probably will lose in the beginning. I'm just gonna show how it's like to lose in the beginning. Really simply put, this will be often the situation that you might face, which this will happen. Okay, now you would think that, oh my god, like everything is falling apart, my pawn is gone, everything is gone. But do not worry, okay? Because when he took the pawn, what happens? The queen is left here, you see. So what can you do? Okay, what can you do? Simply put, you can take the queen. Okay, you can take the queen. Taking the queen, alright? And then moving over here, okay, to prevent the check from coming here. So I'm just gonna play this move. Alright. So now there's a potential opportunity here in the future, okay? There's a potential opportunity here. He gives me a check. Do not be scared of getting checks, okay? Remember, the bishop is attacking the king, but you can still defend this position. How do you defend the position? You can play pawn to c6. Pawn to c6 actually prevents the bishop from attacking here, even though, right, you can attack by the knight also. The knight also defends this position, okay? Simply put, now he plays this move. I recommend taking the bishop. You do not want to have two bishops on the board in a game like this, okay? Right. Let's gonna play a really simple move right here. I'm gonna play this move. He might push over here. It's okay, right? Same thing. Do not be scared if he pushes down here. You are still fine, okay? You are still fine. Because now you are threatening over here, right? You're now threatening over here in this position. Alright. So now he has blundered the position. Why is this bad? Because now I can go knight f2, check, and I win the rook. The rook is gone. That's it. Okay, the rook is gone. There's not a whole lot you can do about it. Okay. Remember, we have to keep track of our time. Time is really important in this position. You can take this over here, not to be worried. And what you can do is you can castle, right? Simply put, you can castle. Bishop cannot go here to attack the rook because the pawn defends the g5 position. You can now go over here, alright? You can actually do that as well. Simply put, you can start pushing up the board right now, right? You can start pushing up the board right now. I'm just going to do that right now. You start pushing all the pieces up to the front, and I'll be trying to bring my rook over here. The knight is going to die because the knight cannot go here and cannot go here because the king is defending and the bishop is defending, right? All we need to care about is this pawn that we need to worry about, okay? So now what we're going to be doing is we are going to be trying to bring our, let's see what we can do here. Remember, this pawn is here. What we can do is we can bring king to b8 here. Alright, now this is under attack. There's not a whole lot we can do about it. So what we can do is we can start an advancement on the position by pushing up the pawn. By pushing up the pawn, the bishop has to get away from the position. Now the bishop cannot come here because we can simply take the bishop, right? But the bishop can eye on this diagonal, okay? So now what we're going to be doing is simply put, we're going to bring our rook over here. Okay. And then now what we can do over here is preventing future knight jumps, okay? Because I want to push this pawn. So we're up by 2 pawns and we're down low on time. We have about 4 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock. Not a lot of time. So we're gonna try to have to play a bit more faster, I would say. Okay, really good. He is trying to defend this pawn push over here. And the knight is jumping over there. Okay. Simply put, we can technically takes. Okay. Technically push even further because the knight cannot jump here because it's protected. The knight's protect the jumps over here. All right. And take that. I'm going here. And then now I got to make sure everything's on the light squares. The bishop cannot target the light squares. Right now, I'll simply put over here. Now this is pinned, and it's basically game over. You cannot win this at all because the bishop cannot go over here to pin because the rook is attacking the king. All right. So this is basically game over. The only thing you can technically do is play, yeah, that's the best move technically. But now I can just go over here and I will ruin the rook. Okay. There's no way else to go. He has to go there. I take the rook and it's basically game over. Alright. This is probably a mate in one technically. Yeah, mate in one. You have to go here to create an escape square. There's no way you can win this game. It is literally impossible to lose this. There is no stalemate. Yeah, that is correct. There is no stalemate because you still have pieces on the board. So that is how, you know, as a beginner, you go through the beginning opening. Okay. Right. So how do we analyze this as a beginner? Right. He plays a really tricky opening. Really common with beginners. They'll try to play the knight and bishop strategy, which is this. He's trying to like jump here to like go here and then here, fork the queen here. Really common strategy. Really easy way to avoid this is just to play, you know, a really simple pawn h6 as a beginning, preventing jumps like that. Okay. I'll purposely play a bad move to simply show you that it's okay to blunder certain pieces if you know what you're doing. Okay, so he made a mistake right here, which is the knight capture the pawn. Is actually the worst move you can technically make because now you take with a queen check. The king has to move out of the board. Bishop goes there. Gives a check. Is actually a really bad move actually. because it doesn't do anything, it gets kicked out, and helps me develop the position more easier. I play that, he plays that, he goes back to the same spot again. I take the bishop, and then I simply try to castle as fast as I can. This is a bad move. This is called overextension. Overextension means that a pawn is too advanced forward with no pieces defending it properly. It's called an overextended pawn. Now I play my knight to e4, threatening the fork on the rook and the king over here. Okay, he plays a really bad move. He tried to develop the knight, not knowing that the fork is there, and then he loses the rook, and then now I'm winning this game. There's no way you can lose this. Just be careful of the pawn over here. It's close to promotion. Right, bishop is defending the pawn from being taken, but you can kick it away. Remember, the bishop is looking at this pawn. King to b8 guards the pawn. Right, the knight is eventually gone because there's no way you can save the knight. Right, so now the bishop has to go away somewhere. I give a check with the rook to make my rook more active. Okay, preventing the knight jumps. Right, you see the knight jumps over here, and I play pawn to b5. Pawn to b5 is actually a really aggressive move, but it's actually a good move because the knight cannot jump here and cannot jump here. See, because the knight is defending the jumping squares over here. He plays that, and then I can give a check. He has to go back to defend because there is technically no way you can defend this properly, because now I play pawn to c5. Pawn to c5 creates the pin, right? I'm attacking the bishop and the rook eyes on the king. There's technically no way you can defend this position properly. You can either play pawn to c3 or rook to d1, but all of these loses. Plays that, I can technically take on the bishop on d4. The king cannot go here because the pawn is here. It cannot go here because the rook looks over here, and it cannot go over here because the rook is actually looking at that at the d along the d file, right? So the only position that he can technically go to is only this c3, and once he goes to c3, it's a free rook, and it's basically game over. Why? Because now later on, if he moves another piece, you can go to e3, rook to e3, and then future creates checkmate, right? Because the pawn is defending these positions over here. The squares are covered. This hole is covered. Play here. This is covered, and it's technically no way you can escape. And white loses, white resigns, and yeah, and that is it. Okay. So you will have a placement games. Placement games will indicate your so-called ELO scores. You can get really difficult opponents or really easy opponents depending on the placement matches. You can get paired up with 1005s depending on the situation. I'm not so sure, but right. So okay, I can see the ELO over here. This guy is 410 ELO, and I'm 584 ELO after I won the match. Okay, so this guy is actually pretty good for a 400 ELO player, and sometimes you will meet this kind of players. So all you need to do is just be mindful of some of these smurfs. I'll call them smurfs. I'll play a really simple one over here. I'm gonna play standard e4 opening. Alright. And we shall see what he plays next. So I'm assuming this guy is probably a smurf. How do you tell Skibidi? Probably a smurf. I'm gonna play a really simple knight f3, attacking the pawn. Okay, he plays this knight c6. Right, this is the first time I'm going to play an opening which is called the Spanish. Alright, I would say this is called the Spanish opening. Basically, okay, I'm assuming this guy is above 1,000 rating. This is called the Berlin defense. Really complicated opening for a really beginner elo level. I'm surprised like there's a Berlin defense. You can play the anti-Berlin, or you can play the standard Berlin. I'm gonna play the standard Berlin. You can technically take this pawn, but right, you can technically go here, stuff like that. He has to go here. This is the main line of the Berlin. He accepted the gambit, so he has to go there if he knows what he's doing. Okay, he does that. Interesting. Right. So now what I can do over here is I can technically play a lot of moves. I can play knight takes e5, or I can play pawn d3, kicking the knight out, and then I can threaten the potential threats over here. I'm just scared that he might go there, so I'm just gonna play the standard line here and just take the pawn. He cannot take back because remember the knight is pinned to the king, so he has to play that. Yeah, that is the correct move. He has to play that. Simply put, I would just take the. I can technically threaten a lot of things actually. Now that I think about it, I can technically go over here. If he takes. Okay, I'll just play this move first. Okay, then I'll play this move. Right, threatening to take the knight. The knight cannot move because he's pinned over here in this position. Okay. Right, I'm going to take the knight. Okay. There's a lot of things you can do here actually, but the simplest way is just to take the queen, get the queen out of the way, so there is no potential problems in the future. Okay, so there's no potential problems in the future. So simply put, I can play a lot of moves here. I can play. I'm gonna play a simple knight c3. Knight c3 threatens to take the pawn, and what I can do here is simply just double up the pawns. Doubling up the pawns. Okay, or he takes with the king. Now his king is in the center of the board. Alright. Now what I can do right now is I can go over here. Okay. I can go over here. Okay, or he does that. Okay, does not really matter that much specifically. Right. Simply put, you can technically just try to get rid of the bishops. Once the bishop is out of the way, it's a lot more easier. Stuff like that. I'm going to take the bishop, and then now I'm going to take the pawn, and then now I'm 3 pawns up, and it's basically, I would say it's almost over. Bring the rook over here to the center of the board, and then now I can threaten a lot of things. Technically a lot of things I can threaten, but I'm just gonna play the very safe move over here. Okay, make sure I have an escape square. Make sure I have an escape square just in case. Nothing too crazy. Okay, now it's being a really aggressive in the position. Now I'm gonna play knight d5, better to take the pawn over here. Okay. There's actually a lot of stuff you can do here, but I'll just simply take the pawn. He can go here to attack the pawn in this position. Okay. Right. Simply put, I can technically take another pawn because I am not scared about taking another pawn. So I'm going to take another pawn. Okay. You cannot go here to threaten to take the pawn because the pawn defends this position. Really stressful, I would say, because this guy actually knows the Berlin opening, which is I'm really surprised. At the beginner levels, it's really rare to see somebody, you know, at this level that has a really grasp concept of the opening. Alright, simply put, I can bring my rook up here. It gives me a check. I can bring my king to safety. The rook cannot go here and create the kebab because the rook defends the pawns on these squares. Okay, now simply put, I can go over here now. Let me see. I can go over here and threaten a lot of stuff here. Just bring my knights here and jumping around on these squares. Okay. Okay, now let's see what we can do here. Okay. I'm gonna play this move. Okay. Preventing any pawn pushes over here. Okay, just go over here. He cannot push here. I can just take the pawn. I'm also threatening. Yep, I'm also threatening a lot of threats over here. Now the pawn is hanging. Just gotta be careful of stalemates. There could be a lot of potential stalemates if not careful. I would say, but remember you gotta make sure that the king has a lot of places to move around, right? Because the pawns are more stagnant. The rooks, if he falls out of the game, potentially you can get stalemated because of the pawns, right? So simply put, I would just take the rook. Take the rook. Once the rook is out of the way, right, it should be fine, right? Okay. Should be fine. Okay, I'm gonna check for stalemates. You never know, sometimes you can get stalemated by the most random thing possible. Okay, simply put, just make sure everything is in check. To keep it really simple, just keep everything in check and you should be fine. Really careful of checks here. Okay, simplest way is just to bring your king all the way to the side to prevent any tricks or stalemates. Hold on a second, wait a second. Right, so the king has an escape square here, preventing all kinds of stalemates here. Right, so you can take the pawn. Really simply, you can just move this all the way to the other end of the board. The knight is over there. Take that, simply make a queen, and it should be done and dandy. Okay, just make sure everything is you're not causing any stalemates or anything. Okay, and yeah, just gotta be careful of stalemates. Check, and then ladder checkmate, and that is it. All right. That is a really interesting opening. This guy is really good with the Berlin. Crazy. Berlin levels are, you usually see Berlin defense at like 1,500 or 1,600 elo. You will never see this at 400 elo, but I'm surprised. So sometimes you can get into really tough opponents with playing really complicated lines, like such as the Berlin or the Spanish. Right, so I play the Spanish, and then he converts it into a Berlin defense. Okay, so now he plays into the Berlin castle. He accepts the gambit. I play over here. Okay, now this is a mistake. I take the pawn. I mean, it's still fine. Take the bishop, stuff like that, and I threaten to take the knight, and it's basically game over. You cannot win this game. King is out of the center of the board. Yeah, there's no way you can win this. After this position of the Berlin, there's technically a lot of ways you can, I would say, to counteract this. So there's only two possibilities over here. Okay. Right, you can play the anti-Berlin. Anti-Berlin is you play d3. You play the anti-Berlin. Play the anti-Berlin, prevent the knight from taking over here. Or you can just play castle, right? That's the thing I played. Plays that. He plays this. I play that. Take 6. Take the knight, and then I win the queen, and then king is on the center of the board. It's not in safety. The king cannot go here to hide because the bishop looks over here. I take the bishop, now the king is more exposed. I win the pawn, bring my rooks over to create the battery, and then now I'm trying to make the king run away all the way there. Plays a bit more aggressive, but the problem is, remember that the knight can jump over here, and I'm winning a pawn. Okay, winning a pawn, and now he's trying to trade rooks. It is not in your best interest to trade rooks here, because when you trade rooks, for example, if you trade the rooks over here, now the rook controls the D file, and then you can get into serious trouble if you have no idea what you're doing. For example, let's say you want to play over here. There are a lot of things that you can go wrong, because he might do the same thing as well. Create the kebab, and then you also make the kebab, and then stuff like that. Just to put it simply, after this whole sequence of events happens, simply put, just make sure that after this, just take the pawn. Just take the pawn. You can reroute your knight over here to go jump over here, or go over here to jump over here, here, and stuff like that, preventing the knights from going here. So that's that. Rooks go over here. I move my rook onto the second rank because to prevent the kebab, the rook comes here, you can gobble up the pawns, and then it'll be a disaster. He gives me a check. My king is now in safety. Now he plays a really aggressive push of the pawn to g5. Pawn to g5 actually makes it worse, because after he plays h5, I can simply play f3. f3 creates the standard so-called U-shaped pawn defense here, and then you do not have to take the pawn here, because if you take the pawn here, takes, I can get this, and then you can get into serious tricky situations if not careful. Simply put, you can just bring your rook over here. Reason why this is not a fork, because you can just simply take the pawn. So now he plays this move, which is actually a really bad move, because now he can take the pawn. Right, as you can see from the game, he takes the pawn. I take this. Gotta be really careful of stalemates. Stalemates only happen is once this thing is gone, okay? And then there's just a potential amount of stalemates here. Take the rook. Right. This is not stalemate, because the king can go here again. The king has to go there, right? Or the king can go here, right? Takes that. Just simply make a queen, because the pawn is one step ahead. Make a queen. It's not stalemate, why, even though the pawns are stagnated, the king can go to various locations. The king can go here, or the king can go here. So it's not stalemate. Checks, give a check first. This is not stalemate because the king can go here. Now he's trying to make it such a stalemate. He's trying to create a stalemate opportunity. If you're down a lot of pieces, black will try to get rid of all the pawns to get a potential stalemate. Stalemate happens when potential pieces that prevent you from getting stalemated, stuff like that. So what black is trying to do is trying to get rid of the pawn. If I take this pawn here, there's a potential stalemate that can happen. Because remember, knights are a bit tricky. Knights can give you stalemates without you knowing. So simply put, what I did is I moved my knight all the way to the corner here. Because now the king can go over here. Remember, the king has still breathing room to go over here. And has a legitimate legal move, right? So he can use the legal move, which is pawn takes pawn, and I take the pawn back, and simply put, he takes the pawn, and then I simply march up the board. Okay, the pawn goes up, you cannot take the pawn, he tries to take the knight, you cannot take the knight, by the way, because I create the queen in check, and then I simply create the ladder checkmate. So right now what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be breaking down some of the, if I can find where is the thing here. Right. So let's go to an analysis, okay? So let's say we can set up a position on the board. Okay, let's say you have an enemy king over here. Let's say you have an enemy king over here. You have two queens on the board. Okay, you have two queens on the board. How do you go about doing this? The first step in any beginner should know simple endgames. Simple endgames meaning that at the end of like a potential, almost at the end of the game, you have a scenario. This scenario is if you have two queens and one black king. Alright, I need to add a white king also, right? Okay, right. I need to add a white king also. Okay, so this is white to move. Okay, so we have white to move. What do you play? Okay. Oh, my bad. Oh my goodness, where is the thing going? Okay, wait. Let me reset this thing here. Okay. Set position. I can delete this. Okay, let's say the black king is here, white king is like here, and then like there's like two queens. Oh, maybe like queen like that. Okay. Okay. So simply put, how do you win this game? Okay. This is called, the first thing you need to do, this is called the ladder checkmate, or the staircase method, or whatever you want to call it. I call it the ladder method. It's much easier. So simply put, how do you checkmate the black king? Okay. Now it is possible to get a stalemate from this position. I'm not even joking. Even with two queens on the board, you can get potentially stalemated. Right? Why is this possible? The reason why this is possible because if two queens are looking at a certain square and then the black king has no legal moves, you can get stalemated. So how do you overcome this situation? Simply create a ladder checkmate. Create a invisible line on the center of the board to prevent the king from entering the line. So you do not want the king to enter line number 5, right? Or you call it rank number 5. So simply put, just bring your queen to cover the squares. Right? Black has no choice but to go back. Okay? Simply put, create a ladder checkmate. It is a ladder. Okay? King has no choice. Okay? Let's say he plays this move. Okay? You go up here. It's in check. Now the king cannot go down here because the queen guards here. Anything over here is defended, right? Because the queen looks at this line here. So the only place the king has to go is up here, which is checkmate. which is checkmate, because the king cannot go here and you're in check. So this is a checkmate. Okay, checkmate and stalemate are completely different things. If you do not know what I'm talking about, okay, just go to ChatGPT. Just type checkmate versus stalemate. Okay, it gives you the definition. I do not want to go through this. I'm too lazy. But if you don't know what's the difference, check GPT. Alright, simple. Next. Okay, now, really important one over here. Okay. How do I get the set up a new position? Okay. Let's say now you have a king. Okay, you have a king. Okay, but you have a rook and a rook. Right. Now, in this situation, is a bit, I would say, a bit more special in a sense, because these are not queens, these are rooks. You see, so rooks, remember, goes horizontally and vertically. Okay, same concept as the ladder checkmate, but there's only a slight difference over here. I'm going to show you. So here's how to do the ladder checkmate. So same thing, right? You want to defend, not defend, sorry. You want to keep an eye on the 4th rank to prevent the king from going here. However, the king will try to attack the rook. You see, the king is trying to attack the rook. Okay. So what should you do? Move the rook all the way here. Okay, move the rook all the way here is to prevent the king from, obviously capturing the rook. So now the king, okay, let's say the king goes here. Right, simply put, you can just bring your rook over here. And then now the king has to go up. But let's say this guy's a bit smart. Okay, let's say this guy's smart. He plays this move, okay. Now, what do you do? Okay, what do you do? Simply put, okay, you can play this move. This is a new concept. It's called, okay, not really a new concept, but this is a concept that a beginner should know. This is called a waiting move. Okay, a waiting move means that you play a really conservative move and then make the opponent move a piece that gives them a bad position, or possibly a possible bad position. You're playing a waiting move. You play a safe move, basically. So right now, right, the king is white to move, right? White to move, and the king is trying to prevent, from the rook coming over here, obviously to create the ladder checkmate, right? So now, what you should do is just wait and just play one move, rook to b4. He has no choice but to play king to f5. King to f5. Now what do you do? Now you can bring your rook up over here. Same thing, the king is really smart. He's trying to attack the rook. So you're going all the way to the right. Remember, do not go on the same line here, okay? Do not go on the same line here, because now it makes it more, more difficult to do the ladder checkmate. Right, the ladders have two handles, right? So you go all the way to the left, rook to a5, right? So now the king is coming closer. Rook to b6, king is coming closer. Okay. Place this. Technically, the only move there, and then there is checkmate. There is literally no way you can win this game, and that is the end. Okay, yeah, so that's the end. Rooks are covering every single square, and that is game over. So that is called the two rooks versus the black king any game. Oh my god, I'm so tired. Okay, next endgame that you should know as a beginner. Let me set up a position. over here. Okay, and delete this. Okay, now this is probably the most stressful one, I would say. Let's say you have a black king, you have a white king, and then now you have a queen. Okay, now you have a queen. Now, how do you checkmate this? This is really easy to get stalemated if you're not focused. Okay, really easy to get stalemated. So this is white to move. Okay, white to move. How do you checkmate the black king? It's a queen and king versus king endgame. Okay, so white to move. How do you win this game? Okay, so same concept as the ladder checkmate, but in order to checkmate the black king, you need your king to be in the game. Okay, so what you should do is to cut off the access here to make it the space more smaller. You see, imagine this, you're trying to make the space smaller. Okay, queen over here. Okay, let's say the king is trying to go over here. Let's say the king goes over there. Okay, right, and then you try to bring your queen over here. Now the trick here to prevent any sort of trickery of stalemates, right, is to follow the king. Okay, follow the king. If the king goes here, okay, if the king goes there, you copy the movement. The queen goes there. Okay, I'm gonna say it again. King goes here, you go here. Okay. Okay. I'm making an example. Go here and go here. Okay. Okay. Then king goes here. Right. I go here. Okay. Okay, I'll show you again. King here, queen here. Just follow the steps, okay? Like follow the king, okay? King, queen. Okay? Now, this is the tricky moment right here, okay? King to A8. Now, let me ask you the question. Do you go to queen to C7? Right? Take some time to pause and think. Do you go queen to C7? No. Why no? Because if queen to C7 happens, this is stalemate. This is stalemate. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is stalemate. So stalemate means that the king is not in check and there's no legal moves that he can make. The king cannot go here, he cannot go here, he cannot go here. And it's not in check. So this is stalemate. So how do you checkmate this? The only way is to bring your king to this over here. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing. King to C2. The king will keep shuffling back and forth. Okay, king to B3, he keeps shuffling. King to B4, he keeps shuffling. Okay, king to B5, he keeps shuffling. Right? King to B6. Remember, he still has legal move. He still has a legal move. He can still go here. Okay? And then that is checkmate. The king is in check, and there is no squares the king can go to. Alright? Okay. The last beginner concept, you have a black king, maybe like here, or like somewhere, I don't know, like here. And then let's say you have a rook. Okay, let's say I put the rook over here. Okay, something like that. Okay, and it's white to move. Okay, white to move. So rook endgames, especially king and rook versus king endgames, if you do not know the theory, this is literally really difficult. But I'm going to teach you a really simple theory. How do you want your position to look like? Okay, I'm going to show you at the end of it. But for now, I'm going to just show you the basic concept, okay? So, how do you do this? Simply put, how do you checkmate the black king? It's the same concept as the ladder technique, but you have to bring your king to create the opportunity to get checkmated. Remember, opportunity, okay? Opportunity to get checkmated. Why? Because in this scenario, the black king will sacrifice himself to get checkmated. He will. This will be technically called a zugzwang. A zugzwang basically means that any move that the opponent makes will cause him to get checkmated or to lose a piece, right? In layman terms. So what do? You bring your rook to the file over here. Okay. He will try to go over here. You have to bring your king. Remember, you have to bring your king. King goes here, king goes there. King goes here is trying to get rid of, over here, right? Now, he's going to keep shuffling, you see. If I go here, he goes there, and then he goes there, he goes there. It's like going to be a draw. Like, oh my god, what am I going to do? Now, remember what I said about the waiting move. You have to know how to play the waiting move, okay? So, he goes there, right? And then in this scenario, okay, you will move your king, copy the enemy will not be like so-called dumb to he will keep shuffling to create a draw, right? So he's gonna play this. Then now what do? You cannot move your king. If you move your king, right, you're basically screwed, right? So the king will have to go back. But remember this, the king looks at these squares. The king cannot come down here. This is the ideal position you want to be in to checkmate the king. Rook a6 forces the king to go backwards, you see. He has no choice. He has to go here. And then I go there. And then he's going to do the same thing. He's going to do this, he's going to do this. And then comes over here. Now you have to play a safe move, right? So play all the way here. Okay? Play this, play this. Okay? He has no choice now. Or, okay, he can technically play here, or he can play there. Okay, let's say he plays here. Okay, let's say he plays there. Then now what I do is I move my king up, right? Now he has to move his king over here. Do not move your king, right? Simply put, just move your rook first. Move your rook first. He will do the same thing again. He's gonna go here, he's gonna go here, here, and then you move your rook all the way to the left again. Okay, this is the longest, I would say one of the longest checkmate you ever have to do, because you're gonna have to keep moving the rooks back and forth, right? So he plays king here, and then he plays king, stuff like that. Okay, then you play a waiting move. Okay, you play a waiting move, and then let's say he plays, I don't know, he's smart, right? He plays this move, then you play this, right? He has no choice but to go here, and this is checkmate. Okay, really, really long and tedious approach, but this is the rook and king versus king endgame. Really, really long checkmate. If the opponent is smart, he would try to keep shuffling the king. So this is the ideal position to create the king and rook checkmate. Your king has to be in front of the king. If it's in this situation, you have to be facing each other. Okay? The white king will be defending the 3 squares in front of him. And your rook will come into play to prevent the king from going anywhere. Right, this is the ideal position you want to be in. Okay? Kings facing each other, and the rook is on the last rank. Okay, the king, your white king, will create the opportunity for the black king to get checkmated. Really important, okay, to be facing each other like this. Okay, because if you go back, right, he will keep shuffling, your opponent will keep doing this because he's trying to make your life really, really difficult for you. You keep shuffling, and he will attack your rook, right? He will do the shuffling method again. He will do this, you play a waiting move, and then he has no choice but to self-destruct, and then he will lose the game. Okay. Now, other important things that you should know as a beginner: if you have a king, and then let's say you only have a bishop, it is a 100% draw. Okay, you can never win this at all. It's a draw. Okay, same thing if you have a black king, white king, and you have a knight, it is a draw. Okay, so that means when you're in the end game, you do not want to be in a situation whereby you only have a knight and king versus king, or bishop and king versus the king, because it is 100% draw. Okay, 100% draw. You can never win this one. Right, same thing. Let's say you have the black king over here, and let's say you have a king over here. Okay, let's say you have a king over here and you have a pawn over here, right? And it's white to move. Okay, now what is this endgame called? This is called the rook flank pawn endgame. Okay, I call it the flank pawn ending. Okay, simply put, that this will be a draw. So, what do you mean? You have a pawn, right? You can create a queen, but remember, this is a flank pawn, right? A rook pawn. Okay, this is 100% a draw. You can never win this, by the way. You can never win this. If the king can go all the way here, for example, let's play a move right now. Let's say pawn goes here, king goes here, pawn goes here, king goes here, pawn goes here, king goes here. Okay, of course you do not want to get a draw, right? So you try to bring a king, he will shuffle, he will keep shuffling back and forth, right? You keep shuffling back and forth, and then this is ultimately stalemate. Right, this is ultimately stalemate. You will never win this match. Okay, you will never win this. Right, why? Because the king is able to get to the rook position, and he will keep shuffling back and forth to prevent the promotion of the pawn, and he will get a forced stalemate, which will be in his favor, right? So let's say in a situation whereby the king is over here, the pawn is over here, and the king is like somewhere around here. This is 100% winning, because the king is protecting the promotion square. So the king cannot go anywhere, right? Pawn goes here, he will go here, promote to a queen, right? You promote to a queen, and then it's basically game over. You do the same checkmate method. Alright? Okay, so that is it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching this stream. I know this is a bit impromptu, but I hope you guys learned something, and I've went through a couple of games as a beginner, what to do in chess, how to play chess, and some of the common endings you should know by heart when playing chess. And with that, I will catch you on another stream. Alright, take care everybody.